Hello YouTube. So today we're actually not outside doing anything with plants. Last night we had basically beans and fried bread, chili and fried bread for dinner last night, and I still have leftover chili. So I've decided that we'd just do something simple like chili dogs for today, or for tonight's dinner, so we can finish off that chili. And what I decided to do was try making homemade hot dog buns. Now, I've already mentioned before that I've been making my own bread, so I'm pretty much going to be sticking with pretty much that kind of a recipe. And let's see how this goes. So the first thing I'm going to do here is get some warm water. I'm looking for a little over a cup, about 1.1 cups of warm water. Now, one thing with the yeast is you don't want it too hot, because I guess you can kill the yeast. And if it's not warm enough, it won't activate properly. I've heard different things, everything from, temping it at between 105 to 110 degrees. Other people kind of use the, testing on your wrist and hand technique like you would if you were trying to draw bath water for a baby. That's generally what I do, and it seems to work out just fine, so that's what we'll do here. Alright, so I've got my water here, so I'm just going to pour that into my mixing bowl here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is actually add my sugar. So for this, I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of sugar. Now, my normal loafed bread, I substitute sugar for honey. That's just my preference. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and actually use the granulated sugar for this one. So 3 tablespoons, and I'm going to go ahead and mix this in the water now. Figured it'd be easier just to bring a small little cup over here. This is actually a 1/2 teaspoon measuring spoon here. So that's 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go put this back. All right, and I'm just going to whisk this in a little bit here. Just kind of help mix up the sugar a bit. And so the next thing I'm going to do is add my yeast. So I'm just using these little packets here. You can get them from the grocery store. 1 packet is 2 1/4 teaspoons, and I usually just use the whole packet. I'm just going to pour that sucker in there. I'll show you here. I'm just going to kind of stir that up just a little bit. Nothing too crazy here. And we're just going to let that sit for about 15 minutes and let it do its thing. I think they call it proofing. So we'll be back in just about 15 minutes. Alright, so it's been a little over 10 minutes now, and it looks like it's, I'll show you here, it's getting nice and bubbly. And that is essentially what it is that we're looking for. That's what we want right there. Okay. So I'm going to grab a second bowl here because I'm going to mix together my flour, salt, and baking powder before putting it in the mixture here. All right. So I got me another mixing bowl. So I've got 3 1/3 cups of flour. Set that off to the side. Then I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Now again, this is a half tablespoon, so there'll be 2 of these. Out of baking powder. Alright, now I'm just gonna kind of mix these up. Got that. So now what I'm going to do is going to add my oil. So you can use vegetable oil. I'm actually using sunflower oil today, and we're just going to throw in 1/3 of a cup. There. Just pour that in there. Next thing I'm going to do is my egg. So it's 1 egg. I'm going to go ahead and beat it into this little bowl here so it's all nice and mixed together, and then I'll put it in there. Basically, you want it all broken down and whatnot, you know, the yolks, what have you. Pour that in there. Let's move this over just a bit. Alright, and now I'm going to start mixing in the flour. So what we're going to do here is we're going to mix it in slowly at first. We want a good mixture here. Go ahead and mix that egg in real good. And we're just going to slowly start pouring it in. So there's a couple reasons I do this. One, I just feel like it mixes a little bit better. And 2, dough seems to get weird. Like there are times where, you know, let's say you're using something, you know, doing a recipe that calls for 3 cups of flour. And sometimes it seems like that 3 cups is not enough. Maybe it's not quite enough. It just, it's odd. So I do a little over 3 cups, between 3 and 3.5 cups. And I just do it slowly. And I'm doing it with the whisk right now. I'm going to continue to do it with the whisk until the whisk just doesn't cut in it anymore. Because it'll start thickening up too much. And then I'll move to either probably one of my wooden spatulas over there. You can also use a rubber spatula. Which would be right about now. Do that before too much of this dough gets stuck in here. That's why. We're actually, because it was the first one I grabbed, I'm just going to use this rubber one here. And you just keep mixing. And just going to keep doing it until it, you know, comes all together into a nice dough. This is where stand mixers, I think, would come in handy, so I might just have to go get me one of those. Looks like this one's actually going to take the whole thing here. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit of flour and we'll put it on the counter here and kind of start working this dough until I can get it into a ball and get it ready for its rising. Alright. Kids playing around on their motorbikes out there. So I got some flour on the counter here. So I'm just going to pour this out. Scrape it out rather. It's still a little on the sticky side. That's alright. Put this out to the side. We'll get in there. Get it. I usually get some flour on my hands, and it helps with it not being too sticky. I'm just kind of working the dough right now. I'm not really focused on kneading it just yet. I'm just kind of working it around. It's kind of basically working in more of this flour is what I'm doing. It's still a little sticky. I'm not getting a ton of it on my hands, but it's still just a little sticky. And what I'm trying to do is, it'll be like almost a satin finish, I guess you could say. So if I need to, I'll pull over a little more flour. Nifty little bread scraper. If you don't have one, I recommend getting one. You can find them at like the grocery stores and stuff a lot of times. It just comes in handy. So I'm just kind of working it, folding it over, working in some more of that flour. I'm just going to keep doing this. I don't want it to get too hard, which is why I'm just kind of working in the flour. So you'll see here, I'll show you in just a moment. You get to a nice ball, kind of with a, it's kind of got this almost a satin kind of finish to it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a little bit of flour in the bottom of this bowl here. This just kind of helps it not stick to any residual dough that I've got in here. And I'm just going to put this in here, plop it down in here, and now we're going to wait. So I'm going to cover this with my towel. I'm also going to put it in the oven. So most recipes I've come across want you to put this somewhere it's warm to let it rise for about an hour. So what I did earlier was I preheated the oven. It automatically goes to 250 or 350. I just let that sit for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. You can open it up, feel it. You don't want it too hot in there, warm. And then I just put it in there. So let's put it in there. We'll be back in about an hour. All right, so got my dough out of the oven here. It's about twice the size it was. One thing I didn't do beforehand, and I don't know why I didn't knead the dough, and I should have. So that's fine. So it gets all airy and gets more flour out here. So we need to smush this down, get all the air out of it. We'll see how this works. So I'm gonna go ahead and knead it a little bit now. It might be too late, but I don't know. So let's find out what happened. We're just gonna experiment with this and see. Normally I would have kneaded this for about a good, I don't know, 8 minutes or so. I think is what the usual is. So let's just see what happens here. You just kind of keep working it. And everybody's got their own different techniques on kneading bread. Mine's almost just almost a rolling, folding kind of technique. It just seems to work for me. So we'll just keep doing this. I do need to get a little more flour down here, so let's go grab some of that real quick. So basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing down on it. I turn it about a quarter turn each time and kind of give it a little fold, and it kind of ends up, it's almost rolling around here. I'll see if I can tilt this down just to show you a little bit here. Some more flour over here. And we just keep on working this. Kind of sticks to the counter just a smidge. I just give it just a little bit of flour. Because at this point I don't want to add too much flour. Alright, I'd say it's pretty good here. So now what we're going to do is we are going to shape this into kind of a rectangle. Kind of stretch it out here. Kind of roll it out, stretch it out. So what we're going to end up doing is cutting out our buns. Keep working it out. Like so. I want these, we're looking at about 1/2 inch thick. That's what I'm going to try going for here. All right. Should be good. So I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 of these, looks like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my baking sheet out, get some parchment paper together, and I'm going to work these a little bit more here. So there's our parchment paper. So all I'm going to do now is just kind of roll these up a little bit. Just kind of stick them on here. I don't know exactly what size these need to be. I've never done this before. So we'll see what happens. I'm just kind of rolling them up a bit. Kind of pinch up these spots here that are kind of open. Put those on the bottom actually. That should be all right with that. There we go. And now we're going to cover these up with a towel again. And we're going to let them rise for like another 30 minutes or so. All right, so these have been sitting for a little over 1/2 hour now. Now they didn't rise near as much as I would have liked them to. They did rise a little bit more, but since I messed up the kneading at the beginning, I think that might have something to do with it. So we'll see how these turn out here. I should have done the kneading the first time before the first rise. So my understanding is what kneading partly does here is it basically activates the gluten in it. So I don't know if that has something to do with the rising. I'm still learning a lot of my bread stuff. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm preheating the oven to 375. I've got some melted butter here that I'm going to put on these, on the top of these, and I'm going to throw it in the oven once it hits the 375 for about 20-25 minutes. You know, basically I'm looking for them to turn golden brown. So let's go ahead and put some butter on these. Oh, that's still warm. Just move this over here. And then of course, we'll use some more of this once we pull these out of the oven. We'll butter them again. All right, there's that. Let's get this out of the way here. It is still kind of hot. And again, we're gonna let this, oh, there it is. Oven's ready to go. We'll pop this in and we'll be back in about 20-25 minutes. All right, let's get these out of the oven here. All right, that's pretty good here. I just opened up the oven. That was it. Thank you for your protection. All right, let's get some more butter on these and then I'll show them to you. Oh, you can hear it too. Well, even though I think I messed it up a little bit there, I think these turned out pretty good. Let me show you real quick. I will have to let you know how they taste later. So now I'm gonna heat up the chili, get the hot dogs cooking, and have some dinner. So try making hot dog buns, see how it works. Otherwise, we'll see all y'all tomorrow. I actually got my onion starts in today. I didn't think they were shipping until next week, to be honest. So we've got some containers to fill up with some soil and get those in the ground. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. So I'll see you then.